Hi guys, this is the fourth video of the 100 head study project that I'm working on, and in this video I decided to do a black and white drawing. So I'm not going to use any color this time. I'm not going to paint, and I'm not even going to treat the values. So this is purely going to be a line work drawing, but I'm going to use mainly closed shapes as I did in the last video. But in the last one, I used color. I painted in or inked in the final drawing. But in this case, I'm not doing that. So last drawing was a bit more edited, but this time I'm really going to go for as much detail as I can. So as you can see, I'm not doing an underdrawing. I'm just tackling the drawing right away. And this is one of the advantages of working digitally. If the line work doesn't look right, you can simply go back and erase it. And yeah, I'm drawing pretty freely. I'm not too concerned about the likeness. This drawing is meant to be more expressive, and it's more about the line work and the combination of shapes, really. So as you can see, I used these basic points here and there as guides. So because I'm not using an underdrawing or utilizing an underdrawing, I wanted to have those small anchor points to know, where certain features go. And like any other drawing, I'm trying to figure out the general overall structure first in the beginning stage, and I'll gradually fill in the details. And I'm always trying to move around the drawing, so I don't like finishing one area at a time. I like moving around. So right there was a good instance where I was working on the ear to the left for a bit. I moved to the center and then to the upper right and then back to the lower left. So I'm constantly moving around and gradually building the image all together. I'm not doing like one area by one area. And you really want to approach this as a shape-based drawing almost. So even with those really delicate wrinkles or details in the skin, notice how I'm trying to draw them as closed shapes as opposed to lines. It's not that I'm not using any lines, but if I can, I'm trying to find shapes instead of lines. And I'm trying to separate every single detail, every single value change, every single color change. Anything that I can find or observe, I'm trying to depict that. And the same thing goes for the hair. I'm trying to find separations, value changes, and trying to put in as much detail into the drawing. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm not interested in actually drawing in the values, so I won't be doing any hatching or cross-hatching, but I want this to be more about texture, the texture of the skin, the detail of the skin, the variation of how the light hits the skin is what I'm more interested in. So it's not necessarily a design process, but I like to think of it as more observational. Yeah, obviously there is design involved. Every art piece really has a certain element of design to it, but in this case I'm really focusing more on observation. So now I'm getting into the very intricate parts, the very minute details, and I'm trying to capture every single pore and defect and wrinkle in the skin as well. Obviously I won't be able to draw in everything, but I'm really looking at the subject and trying to find as much as I can, and I'm transferring it into or onto the drawing. And so even when I'm drawing in the wrinkles of the lips, you can see that I'm using closed shapes as opposed to lines, and that's just part of the exercise. And this is a drawing technique and drawing style that I really like. And if you wanted to create value with this type of technique, you can focus on the details of the darker areas. That's one way to approach it. And because this is such a detailed drawing, if you're drawing from life, if you're looking at an actual model, you need to set the lighting right so that the light doesn't blow out the details. And if you're working from a photograph, you want a photo that captures a lot of detail and captures all the defects of the skin. So you want a really high resolution photo with good lighting. And now I'm really trying to find the separations of values, separations of color, trying to find the defects and every single detail of the skin. And because the drawing is so intricate, if I were to color this, I may just use a very simple color scheme. I may use some gradation and treat the value a little bit, but I really want the line work to be the star of the piece. So I would normally use a very simple coloring method. I would just block in everything maybe, and then add some value here and there so it makes sense, but I really want the line work to show. And overall this was roughly a 35-minute drawing. So like I said, these 100 studies, at least for now, I'm limiting myself to less than an hour, and because of the time restriction, I decided to just do a black and white, just plain pen and ink on paper style drawing, and get as much line work as possible. And you can see, because of the details around the eyes and because I'm trying to get in so much texture and separation of everything around the eyes, it's starting to look like I'm treating the value. And that's another technical thing that you can think about. And as you do more of these types of drawings, you'll start to get better at editing, in my opinion. So And not every drawing is going to be as intricate or as detailed as this, but you'll get a better idea of where to leave out and like what parts to sort of go in and really try to draw a lot. So obviously for a drawing style like this, you'll obviously get better with practice. And this is also a very helpful exercise in terms of understanding paint. So all of that separation you can see as like small brush strokes or areas of paint. So this is another like good exercise for getting better at painting. So if I were drawing all of these in vectors in Illustrator, let's say, I could easily color in all those shapes and it would transform into a vector painting. And you can easily apply this approach to oils or acrylic, gouache, or even transparent material such as ink or watercolor. Now I'm filling in some of the final details and just trying to get certain areas and capture the details. And I think I ended around there. So this exercise, it is about style. It's a very stylized portrait, obviously, but I tend to see this, or I tend to approach this as a very observational study. So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not really going for the likeness. I'm being really aggressive with the drawing. I didn't do any like underdrawings or underlays, but I'm really trying to find everything that I can see. So that's the whole, like, that was the main goal for me in terms of this drawing and this portrait. So I hope that helped. I used a inking brush, but you can do this with a regular round brush, and all you need to do is click on the pressure sensitivity and adjust the smoothing to, I like using somewhere around 50 to 70%. So I think in this case I used like 73% smoothing. So that'll give you those nice curvy sort of tapered lines. Yeah, so I'll wrap up the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Please like and subscribe, and thank you.